We continue with our series on how to communicate, most particularly how to listen, that part of communication. That's the more important part. It's the part that we have completely lost in our world today. It's why we're so bipolar, so divided. We said the first lesson was, like we see in the icons, have big ears, small mouth. Focus so that you're wise. In other words, presence. Divest yourself of yourself and be present to that person, no matter who they are, what they're saying, what you feel about them, what they feel about you. The second lesson is it's not about the economy, stupid. It's about the message, stupid. The message. Always look for the message beneath the words. Sometimes the words are chosen well, sometimes not. Sometimes they're inflammatory. We get lost in the words and we react. But there's a message under the words, especially if the words seem to be very inflammatory or aggressive or complaining or accusative. Okay, they may or may not be good, but instead of acting defensively and then counterpunching or just giving the silent treatment, ask ourselves, what's under those words? What's the message? What are they really trying to tell me, regardless of the words? Years ago, during the Obama administration, when President Obama was putting forth his health care plan, Obamacare, there was a piece of it that Catholics found to be unacceptable. And that was where that plan would have forced Catholic institutions to supply contraception to patients, like at hospitals, nursing homes, and so on. Well, the Catholics protested that. And Catholics did it as Catholics do. We come together for a protest. It almost seems like a party or something. You know, we're praying, we're laughing, we're hugging each other, we're just happy, even though we're protesting something that we think is not right. So I joined a protest for Stand Up for Religious Freedom. That's what the name of the protests were, by mostly Catholics at that time. And we were downtown Chicago, in the area where a lot of protests take place. And we were doing our Catholic thing of protesting. And across the street from us was a group that was protesting us. And they were screaming at us and swearing at us and shrieking at us. And meantime, we're praying and being happy. So I decided that by the end of our little protests, we had a certain time allotment, I would go over to those people across the street. I would dare to do that. And I did. So I walked over there, and they're screaming at me. They're trying to, get out of here, get out of here. Why meddle with me, Son of God? It reminded me of that scripture, you know, in the Bible, where Christ approaches the possessed person, and the devil shrieks, why meddle with me? Exactly the reaction I was getting. And I wasn't doing anything. I walked over, there was a smile and all that. I said, may I speak with you? No, get out of here, get out of here. And they're in my face. I mean, they're screaming, they're shrieking. It's like a shriek, like a demonic shriek. It comes from a very dark place, the poor things. I felt sorry for them. I wasn't angry with them. And I saw a young lady there, standing there quietly. She's holding a sign, you know, women's rights, women's rights. So I walked over to her, and they tried to prevent me from talking with her. And they told her, don't talk to him. You don't need to talk to him. Like they were scared of me or something. But the woman, the young lady, stood there, and I said, she's a little frightened, but she stood there quietly with her sign that was protesting us. And I said to her, can I speak with you? She says, well, okay, even though the other people didn't want me to. And I said, I saw your sign from across the street, and I came over. Judging from your sign, I'm going to suspect that you really care about women, don't you? And she said, yes, I do. Yes, I do. I do care about them. I said, that's wonderful. So do I. And the friends I was with across the street, that's why we were there. For the same reason you're here. Now, what I did was, I looked beneath the words and the behavior of those people shrieking at me. And especially when I spotted this young lady, by her demeanor, she's just quietly protesting, standing her ground, but she wasn't shrieking. I looked beneath the words and the slogan, the sign, and I tried to identify their message. Their message was standing up for women's rights. Well, so was ours, but also for the rights of the child in the womb and so on. So once I tuned into her message, I divested myself of myself, opened myself to her, and I received what was her message. Once I did that, she and I were able to talk. We were able to dialogue. Now, neither one changed each other's mind. That's usually not going to happen in one occurrence, one encounter. But there was at least a meeting of minds, a meeting of human persons, where we could begin to share ourselves with one another and see where maybe there was some commonality, and to see how we could then come together. This is what happens when we look for the message beneath the words. We find that we don't always have to be so radically bipolar, them against us, bad guys, good guys, that we can find some kind of common ground in which to at least dialogue and understand each other better. Second principle of good Christian communication, especially listening: always search for the message. What is this person really saying? What is their real conviction under those words, even if they're nasty or unpleasant words? Search for the message.